One of the questions I get asked frequently is which publishing company you should choose if you have a book and you're thinking about publishing. What most people consider a publishing company, someone who collects the information of your book and puts it together into a product and then distributes it. That's changing a lot. So it used to be a publishing company would invest to print a couple thousand copies and put them in bookstores and then hope to earn the money back and give you extra money if you earned out past your advance. But increasingly now, everybody does print on demand, which is POD publishing. And so all you really need to publish are the PDF files that you upload to some company like Createspace or Lightning Source or Lulu. And then if somebody orders one copy, that company will they'll print and ship one copy to whoever buys it. So that means if you're publishing a book, you don't really have any upfront investment costs. You can publish pretty cheaply by just getting your book formatted and designed for those PDF files to go up on those websites. It also means that what a publishing company is and does for you is also changing, because the big companies like Createspace and Lightning Source and even Lulu, they're not really publishers. They're more like print and distribution. So they're not publishing your book. They're just helping you take those files and making the book and then also sending it out. So you also have these small presses, which are basically they're also not printing a bunch of proof copies in the beginning. So they're also using print on demand. All they're doing is helping you design those files. They're more like book designers. They're helping you design those book files, and then they're using Lightning Source or IngramSpark or Createspace for printing and distribution, for order fulfillment. So what you're doing with a publisher, if you sign a deal with a small press or publisher, what you're really doing is just giving up some of the earnings so that they will help you design the book. And so instead of doing that and giving up a percentage of your future earnings, you could just hire somebody, a designer, to make those files for you and then upload the files yourself to Createspace, IngramSpark, Lulu. That way you're getting more of the proceeds from the earnings, but you're also paying a little bit more of the investment. So if you don't know what you're doing and it's too hard for you to kind of figure out how to use these online print and distribution sites, you can sign with a small press or publisher, but you're probably, they're making money too, it's a business. So you're giving up probably more value than you're getting back in return, because otherwise those companies wouldn't be earning money as businesses. If you want to do it yourself as a self-publisher, you're just looking to get your book formatted and designed. So that's the interior formatting and then the cover design. And then you just need to upload it somewhere. I've used all three of the big ones. I recommend you use Createspace. Lulu does a good job, but it's more expensive than most of the other platforms. IngramSpark or Lightning Source, it's changing a little bit, but they're still a little more old-fashioned. People say the quality of Lightning Source is better, so you'll get a better quality book. I think if you have those two books side by side, that's true, and you can compare and say Lightning Source is better, but readers aren't really going to have both books side by side. They're going to order from one or the other, and if they just get a Createspace book, the quality is good enough that they're not going to notice and say this is a bad quality book. It mostly depends on the book design. So as regards to like paper and printing and gloss, it looks pretty good from Createspace also. They're not going to say this is a badly produced book. And Createspace is a lot cheaper, and it's easier to upload your files and change files. Lightning Source is very picky about what kind of files they accept, and you'll get a lot of rejection notices for a lot of different reasons, flattening files, embedding fonts. And every time you want to make changes, you have to pay a change fee. And to set up the files, there's like $100 startup, and then there's another $40 every time you change the files. Createspace, you can just keep making changes whenever you want, and it's free to publish. So there's really there's no upside to going with Lightning Source. People will say, if you want to get into bookstores, you need to go with Lightning Source because Lightning Source lets you give a bigger discount. So you can give 55% or 60% wholesale price, which the bookstores are used to. And you can also set up a refund price, which most bookstores will demand, which means if they order 100 copies and they only sell 20 copies, they'll pay you, but then they'll send you those copies back for destruction, and you have to reimburse them what they paid, which for a small publisher, if you're self-publishing, you can't really afford to do that anyway. And you're not going to get into bookstores unless your book is already best-selling. So that means shipping a lot of copies, probably with ebooks, but also print on demand. For me, it's worth going with Createspace and going with Amazon, because if you're exclusively with Amazon, they'll help you a little bit more to publish and to promote those books, because they're getting more of the cut of each sale. So there's a chance that maybe your bookstores would have an easier time ordering from you if you were set up on Lightning Source, but bookstores aren't looking at you anyway, and they're not going to be ordering from you unless you are selling thousands of copies, probably tens of thousands of copies a month. And so to get those numbers, you really have to focus on one platform and drive all your sales from one platform, rather than trying to put it up in a lot of different platforms and selling a few copies from each, because you're trying to get your sales rank really high so that you'll sell a lot of copies and stay on the bestseller list. Then maybe a bookstore will hear about you because they're getting enough demand, and then they'll try to order. But actually, I've had bookstores order straight from Createspace, because Createspace also has an expanded distribution option with a wholesale price. And I've had bookstores order 10 or 20 copies from Createspace. So if they want it badly enough, they're going to order it anyway. They don't need it to be on Lightning Source to order those copies, but they're not going to want it at all unless you're selling lots of books. So don't focus so much on setting up the right way with Lightning Source. You need to focus on setting it up cheaply and easily, and being able to make revisions quickly, so that if you catch a typo or you want to make updates, a lot of times you'll put out a print book, but then you'll change the back copy when you get more reviews. And you want to make that process easy. You want to be able to make the changes and upload new files without having it be a huge hassle every time. And I've worked with Lightning Source a lot, and it's always quite a big hassle to get the files made the right way and to have everything just perfect so they approve them. And they're using a lot of kind of almost like, I mean, it's because they print better quality books, so they're a little more strict on the submission standards. But at the same time, if you're a self-publishing author and you're doing these design files by yourself, it's going to be much harder for you to get it right. And they're less easy to work with than Createspace. Createspace is built to kind of help you, and they're much looser with what they accept. If you have a PDF file, it's print ready already. You don't need it to have everything else perfect. And there's a lot of extra steps Lightning Source is going to make you walk through. Lulu is also pretty easy, and their print quality is fine. And they offer some good packages. But in my experience, the cost is higher for the books that you print per book. And that's why I go with Createspace. Anyway, if you're looking for publishing companies, you may be thinking of small presses who do that work for you and offer you in advance, or at least they take the risks that you're not paying any upfront fees. If you're looking for printing and distribution companies, then I would go with Createspace. And there's a lot of information online you can find out about getting the right files made for them. And then all you really need to do is finish your book and make a print-ready PDF cover and interior formatted file. And with those two files, you can have a book that looks really great and doesn't cost you very much. So that's what I would do rather than finding a publisher or a small press. But if you need a lot of help, you can look for publishers too and submit. Just make sure you're not giving up too many of your rights or too much of your earnings. Okay, thanks. Good luck with your book. Bye-bye, Derek.